let us move the title of the criticism, Coleridge, Biographia Literaria, chapter 14 and chapter 17. As I asked a little refresher, which means this pre-reading questions and post-reading questions regarding Samuel Taylor Coleridge or his biography. Otherwise, what we get, the critical text, Biographia Literaria. Basically, he is a poet. And he is known for others exactly as a philosopher. In this text, Biographia Literaria, this critical piece, this is biographical criticism. This biographical criticism. Example, in 8th unit, you have syllabus. Syllabus heading, the unit heading is Approaches to Literature, where you have chapter number 4, that is related with the literary criticism and theory, where you can see biographical criticism. This piece, Coleridge, Biographia Literaria, especially talks about this biographical criticism. Now, I think that you have 23 chapters. Now, this 2 volumes, Biographia Literaria, as published by Coleridge, 2 volumes. Is it? And keeping 23 chapters. And as I told you, he is known, familiar to the English audiences as a philosopher than a poet, because he has a little, tug of war with whom? William Wordsworth. But of course, these writers are belonging to romantic revival. That's what we call as a romanticism. But Coleridge, is different from Wordsworth. And I hope you know the philosophy of Wordsworth. This is what I call it a poetic theory. You know the definition, that Wordsworth has given. Poetry is spontaneous, overfull of powerful feelings, which takes its origin, emotion recollected in tranquility. Actually, this poetic theory, this poetic diction, can be what we call as revisited by Coleridge. But Coleridge is not accepting. Coleridge consider Wordsworth is basically a poet, not a philosopher. This is a lengthy argument that what Coleridge has made in the chapter 14 of Biographia Literaria. This is what I am telling the introductory part. And as you all know that he is an English poet belonging to romantic movement, romantic revival. And beyond that, he is a philosopher, he is a critic. He had close friends, friends like Wordsworth, Sathe, Robert Sathe. But along with Wordsworth, Coleridge founded a magazine. Be what we call as sharp. The magazine is different from journal. Here I am telling you the magazine. Coleridge founded the magazine. What's the magazine? The Friend. That's the title of the magazine, is a Friend. That is successful. That is very successful during Coleridge's lifetime. In between what we call this romantic period. And as you know well, that Coleridge is completely addicted with the drugs. In one of the poem, you may heard about that Coleridge had opium. His poems may be incomplete. It is because of consuming opium, a drug. Now I'll tell you exactly the name of the drug. But opium, the hemlock, that has been what we call done by Coleridge, that is in the poem Kubla Khan. But actually, This has been mentioned clearly in the magazine what he founded. The magazine titled as a Friend. And see his life, a simple life. As in the very beginning, I told he was born on England. The name of the place is Devon, 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 on October 21st, 1772. You know, his father name is John Coleridge. He's a priest. He's a vicar. Vicar is a priest. Is it? And he had 9 siblings. Coleridge had 9 siblings. And you know well that, see, Charles Lamb, who wrote what we call Essays of Elia. And Charles Lamb is also a close friend of whom? Coleridge. Now, both of them attended a Christ Hospital School. I hope you remember when you go through Essays of Elia by Charles Lamb. Am I correct? The school named as Christ Hospital School, where Coleridge attended his schooling. And also Coleridge enrolled, the name of the college is Jesus College. Then he become what we class getting degrees from the college. That's come under what we class Cambridge University. And taking up his career, Coleridge's career, Coleridge was completely inspired by the ideas of Robert Sate. You all know that lake poets, Wordsworth, Coleridge, Robert Sate, these 3 poets are lake poets. But here what I am going to say, Samuel Taylor Coleridge is completely inspired by the ideas of Robert Sate while they are in the college. Now, both of them worked on founding an organization. The name of the organization I will tell you. Both of them has been working together and they found, which means both of them are a founder of that the organization. But of course, that organization never success. And that organization named as a Pantisco Crazy. Spelling, I will spell out PANTISOCRACY. That's a spelling. This is an organization founded by both of them, Robert Sate and Samuel Taylor Coleridge. This is an organization. Don't confuse the magazine, journal, and organization. And in 1795, he had a chance to meet William Wordsworth. By and large, that he became a close friend of William Wordsworth. Even though he had what we call a tinge of a tug of war with whom Wordsworth and his definition of poetry and his theory of poetry. Already I told you in the very beginning, the theory is nothing but of Wordsworth. Poetry is spontaneous overflow of powerful feelings which takes its origin, emotion, recollected in tranquility. He's differed. But even though both of them become very good friends. As you know that Coleridge produced what we call the voluminous poem titled as The Rime of the Ancient Mariner. And Kubla Khan. Now I remember a few poets who took drug, then only they are able to write a poem. One among is Coleridge. One among is Kannadasan. Is it here the poem that I am going to list out? The Lime Tree, Frost at Midnight, Nightingale, Bower My Prison. These are the important poems that Coleridge wrote. And during his writing of these pieces of poem, that Coleridge consumed drug. I will tell you the name of the drug. And both of them, know whom, William Wordsworth and Coleridge, both of them collaboratively published lyrical ballads in 1798. I hope you remember in 1798, Samuel Taylor Coleridge and William Wordsworth, both of them published the titled critical essay Lyrical Ballads. And this is the time of what we call a romantic revival. The romanticism which has been begun, the age of romanticism began in the year of 1798. The same year, the publication of lyrical ballads by both of them. And in 1799, he had a chance to meet Thomas Hutcherson. And he is a contemporarian. He is a contemporarian. And he had a daughter. Her name is Sarah. Her name is Sarah. And Sarah became inspiration of Coleridge. Is it? Sarah was completely surrendered whom the inspirational voice of whom? Samuel Taylor Coleridge. And by and large, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, who wrote a poem that is a ballad titled as Love. Why? Because he had a soft corner towards whom? His daughter, Sarah. I hope you all, what we class, understand what I'm telling. Is it correct? This is what about little thing regarding Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Now I am going to tell you about that drug. This maybe you have one more question. In 1796, Samuel got hooked to drugs. Of course, he is compelled to take drugs. He is compelled to take drugs. Why? Because he had a toothache. For the treatment that he took, what we call as a drug. What's the name of the drug? Is a laudanum. Laudanum. That's the name of the drug. Definitely, you may have a question. You may have a question. For the treatment of the toothache that he took, what is that? This drug. And that became an addiction. And Samuel Taylor Coleridge become addicted with that particular drug. And this leads to what we call as making his poems incomplete. I hope you understand what I am telling. This is what I call it, what we call as opium. What I call it opium. Dakshani.
Sir?
Mic off பண்ணுங்க உங்க mic off பண்ணுங்களேன். Mic off பண்ணுங்க. Doctor, right, good. Good, nice. I hope you may understand what I am telling here regarding the name of the drug. The name of the drug. Laudum. Laudam. That is the name of the drug that often Samuel Taylor Coleridge took. It is because of the treatment that he takes for a toothache. And later on, that become an addiction. And this is what we call as opium. And whereby he is completely alienated from his wife. No, this is what, by and large, that he wrote a few poems titled as a Church and the State. Aids to Reflection. No, these are the poems. And now we will touch with what we call as a personal life of whom? Samuel Taylor Coleridge. He married Sarah. I told you Sarah is a daughter of Thompson. Sarah Flicker. Is it? And he got married, and both of them, during getting married, after that he started. Who started? Samuel Taylor Coleridge started publishing a weekly magazine. That's a friend I told you. During the time, that is what we call as a success. The friend, the magazine. Is it? That become weekly journal also. That become weekly journal, the same title. Weekly journal, friend, and a magazine is a friend. And he died on July 21st, 1834. It is because of a lung disorder. And now he is a celebrated poet. Now, right now, he is a celebrated poet. And his writings may be accepted. May be accepted. Now we will enter into about biographia literaria, little biography. Actually, most of us thought that biographia literaria is a title, but actually it has a subtitle. It has a subtitle. You may expect one mark question. Now, what is another title of a biographia literaria? Now I am giving you the overview of biographia literaria. The subtitle is biographical sketches of my literary life and opinions. Biographical sketches of my literary life and opinions. It is an autobiography. Already I told you this is a biographical criticism. Actually, biographia literaria is an autobiographical criticism. It's an autobiography. It's a discourse. Autobiographical discourse by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. And exactly it is published in 1817. Definitely you have one question. You have 150 pieces of all syllabuses. One question may be when it is published. Definitely you may expect one question out of 110 questions. Now what's the one question that I am suggesting here? In which year Biographia Literaria published? 1817. Likewise, so many pieces in your syllabus from modern literature 1 till what we class Indian writing in English. Is it? And I hope you understand what I'm telling. Actually, it has 23 chapters, 2 volumes. It has 23 chapters and 2 volumes. Now, don't confuse. In lyrical ballads, you have 24 poems. In lyrical ballads, you have 24 poems. In Biographia Literaria, that he published 2 volumes of 23 chapters. But we have the syllabus, chapter number 14 and chapter number 17. We have the syllabus. No, actually, he says the difference between poem and poetry. Very simple. In Biographia Literaria, what he says, which means out of these 23 chapters, he discussed closely regarding the distinguish between poem and poetry. Very simple answer. Now, poetry is wider than poem. Poem is a small. Poem is little, whereas poetry is wider. I am talking about here the length of the poem and the length of the poetry. According Coleridge says the difference, a distinguish between poem from poetry. Poem is a little, what we call not wider than a poetry. Actually, this is the mind of the poet. Is the mind of the poet, which means poem is a single expression of the poet. The poet who has to express his emotion, a single emotion. That is what we call as a poetry or a poem. It's an activity. Poetry is an activity of imagination. Definitely, you may expect question who says poetic creativity is basically an activity of imagination. Coleridge. Definitely, you may expect this kind of question. This is not my line. This is I took from the original text. Keep in mind that what I am giving, what we class here bolded sentences and bolded words, bolded phrases. Those are words and sentences are not mine. Poetic creativity is basically an activity of imagination. Actually, here Coleridge believes strongly. What he believes strongly? The function of poetry is to provide pleasure. Of course, what is the ultimate function of the poetry? When you read poetry, you get it pleasure. This is what Coleridge says. The main function of poetry is to provide pleasure to the reader and not to present the truth. Of course, poetry is not telling truth. It gives pleasure to the reader. That's what Coleridge says. Poetry may represent the truth. May represent the truth. It is not very important. May represent. You look at the word may represent. But actually, poetry which provides pleasure to the reader. Poetry which does not provide to present the truth. But however, poetry may represent the truth. See, I hope you understand what I'm telling. But however, already says, truth is not very important. This has been deeply discussed by Coleridge in Biographia Literaria. Do you have any question? Do you have any question? Hemamani madam, do you have any question?
No, sir.
Have you got it, an idea that what I'm telling, the introductory part of Biographia Literaria by Samuel Taylor Coleridge?
Yes, I can understand, sir.
Okay, okay. Others, Swabana, sir, German day, sir. Any question? Any doubt? I welcome your doubt. I welcome your questions. May I know your understanding of that what so far I have given you a piece of lecture regarding the introductory part of Biographia Literaria by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. Shall I move the next? See that what we class you know, just now I told you Wordsworth and Coleridge collaboratively published lyrical ballads. I told you 24 poems. 19 poems by Wordsworth and 4 poems by Coleridge. But here I mentioned 5 poems of Coleridge. When I talk about what we class Wordsworth, I will tell you 19 poems. But here I am going to tell you that what are all the 4 poems. Actually, he added 5 poems in lyrical ballads. But the 5th poem, that what he added in 1800, the year 1800, the remaining 4 poems published in lyrical ballads in 1798. So that you have 24 in according 1798, but it is 25, you know, when it is added what we class in 1800, the poem titled as Love. You see, the title of the poems added into the lyrical ballads by Coleridge, the contribution of the Coleridge. Maybe the question may be how many poems contributed by Samuel Taylor Coleridge in lyrical ballads. You will have a question like this. 4 poems at the time of 1798, but later on that he added one more poem, the poem titled as Love in 1800. No, any question? Any question? Any question? I hope you listen. No, I hope you got it, the idea of what I'm telling. Is it?
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So how many, like, totally combinedly, like collaboratively, Wordsworth and Coleridge, how many they published? Sir, 23 or 24?
Sorry, 24, of course. Adding with the
24.
last one. The last one.
Okay, okay.
I
24. So
told you
19 were
25.
published by?
Of course, 19 poems of Wordsworth and 4
Okay,
poems of Coleridge. About
okay, sir.
3. But actually, one is added by Coleridge in 1800. So we have 24. Not 25, 24.
Okay, sir.
Actually, this Biographia Literaria has 23 chapters. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Am I
Yes,
clear?
sir. Thank you. Yes,
When,
sir.
when lyrical ballads published at the year 1798, at the time Coleridge contributed 4 poems. What are they? The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, Foster Mother's Tale, The Nightingale, The Dungeon. The 4 poems. When he added these 4 poems into lyrical ballads collaboratively with whom? Wordsworth. At the time we have 23, but at last in 1800, Coleridge contributed one more poem, the poem titled as Love. So we have 24. Right now we have 24. Am I clear? Am I clear? Hemamani madam, am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
It's
madam.
clear,
Okay,
sir. Yeah.
nice. Nice. Shall I move the next? Now you see the theory. Already I spoke the theory of Wordsworth, poetic theory of Wordsworth. I remember you again. Poetry is spontaneous, overflow of powerful feelings, which takes its origin, emotion, recollected in tranquility. This is the poetic theory of Wordsworth. But what is the poetic theory of Coleridge, according this Biographia Literaria, based on Biographia Literaria? Already I told you very clearly, the very opening of this Biographia Literaria, Coleridge distinguishes a poem and poetry. A poetry is wider than a poem. A poem gives you single emotion, whereas poetry is an activity of imagination. I hope you understand that. This is a difference whereby he is what we class different from Wordsworth. Here, what I am going to say, being an English poet, his theory is a response to ideas of poetry advanced by his close friend, collaborated with William Wordsworth. And when they jointly published the lyrical ballads, then Wordsworth wrote what we call as a preface to lyrical ballads. It is because of what we call as the contradictory opinion between whom? Coleridge and Wordsworth. What are all that Coleridge says, it seems to be that he is a philosopher. What are all Wordsworth says according in his poetry, based on his poetry, he is a poet. There's a difference. I am Coleridge and I am a poet as well as a philosopher. But Wordsworth is only a poet, not a philosopher. It's based on the Biographia Literaria. Biographia Literaria. He makes it very clear in his what we call Biographia Literaria. So far, I have given you the brief outline of Biographia Literaria and the bio note of whom? Coleridge. And now we will really enter into the text. Exactly, we will enter into the text. The written monuments of Coleridge is Biographia Literaria. That is a critical work that belongs to autobiographical discourse. And it contained 23 chapters in the 2 volumes. That is published between 1815 to 1817. But I have given you these 2 chapters published in 1817. But actually, it took long year from 1815 to 1817. Sometimes the question may confuse you. No, 23 chapters published in Biographia Literaria in 1815 to 1817. Am I clear? Am I clear? See that what we class Coleridge concerns himself not only with the practice of criticism but also its theory. The morning one may raise a question: the difference between criticism and theory. Here, what I am going to say, when we look upon what we class this practical approach to criticism, we get Coleridge is a poet. When we talk about criticism, Coleridge is a poet. When we talk about theoretical discussion, Coleridge is a philosopher. I hope you understand. I hope you understand. When you look at what we class a criticism aspect, that Coleridge is a poet. This is the same that he suggested on whom? Wordsworth. At the juncture of, at the point of criticism, Wordsworth is a poet. Coleridge also is a poet. But when you look at theoretical discussion, the very morning, Kalpana asked me the difference of these things. This is what I am going to say. Theoretical discussion. When comes to theoretical discussion, Coleridge is a philosopher, but Shakespeare, Wordsworth is a poet. In both Shakespeare, Wordsworth is a poet, but Coleridge is a, at one juncture based on criticism, is a poet. At another juncture based on theoretical discussion, is a philosopher. Am I correct? Am I correct? Now we enter into the chapter 14. Chapter 14. Am I clear? Am I clear? Am I clear? Any question? Now we will move chapter number 14. No, it's something particular as a Coleridge's view on nature and the function of poetry that he discussed in a philosophical terms. Coleridge's view on poetry. You know that already Wordsworth's view on poetry and the function of poetry that he discussed in Biographia Literaria in a philosophical term. The poet within Coleridge discusses the difference between poetry and prose. Of course, look at the language of Wordsworth. The language of Wordsworth, either poetry and prose is same. No difference at all. He is a poet. When you show the discussion of the language, the difference between poetry and prose. I'll tell you one example, a very simple example. When Wordsworth wrote a poem, titled as Daffodils, I wandered lonely as a cloud. This is the opening line of a poem, Daffodils. Here you can see, again I will tell you the line, I wandered lonely as a cloud. This line exactly says Wordsworth poetry. But actually, here the line of poetry doesn't have any difference with the line of a prose. When it is same, the line of a poetry and the line of a prose, is it he is a poet. Basically, Wordsworth is a poet. And what is the immediate function of poetry? What's the immediate function of poetry? To give pleasure. Actually, philosopher discusses the difference between poetry and a poem. I hope. Of course, it is based on poetical theory of Wordsworth. Poetry is spontaneous, overflow of powerful feelings, which takes its origin, emotion, recollected in tranquility. Here, I hope you understand. When I discuss, I'm a Coleridge, I discuss the difference between a poetry and a poem at the juncture of the philosopher. This is what I call it a organic whole. This is what I call it a organic whole. Here, I am going to particularly darken the line. Look at the line. This very simple. The line is now I'm showing you. The object of poetry is to instruct. Maybe you have question. The object of the poetry is to instruct, or as less extreme form of a hearsay, as asserted to make men morally better. This is what the assumption made by Horace. This is what the introductory part of chapter number 14. Now we will move what we class exactly the chapter number 14 and talks about two cardinal points of poetry. Two cardinal points of poetry. Definitely you expect the questions. What are the two cardinal points? What are the two cardinal points? This is where Coleridge differed from Wordsworth, according the poetic theory. Am I correct? Am I correct? Any question? Any doubt? I go on to give you, but no one is interacting with me. Swapna? Swapna, any question?
Sir, I'm clear, sir.
Are you clear?
Yeah,
Are
I'm
you
clear,
clear?
sir.
Yeah. Yeah, just Sivaranjani madam has entered. No, just now Sivaranjani madam has entered. Is it correct?
Oh, good evening, sir. Sorry for the late joining, sir.
No problem, madam. No problem. Shall we move the next? Exactly chapter number 14.
Yes, sir. Are you discussed something there in the previous, sir? What is the thing you already discussed, sir?
Of course, I added new things. Difference between the poetical theory of Wordsworth and Coleridge. This Biographia Literaria is an autobiographical discourse where Coleridge discusses between what we can say the poetry and the poem. Poetry is wider than a poem. When you talk about poem, that you are a poet. When you talk about what we call as poetry, you are a philosopher. When you talk about what we call the language of poetry and prose are same like Wordsworth. Just now I referred the example. I wander lonely as a cloud. He is a poet. So Coleridge argues that exactly Wordsworth is a poet, but I am talking about what we call more than that. What's the more than that? I'm talking about poetry also. The difference of whom Coleridge and Wordsworth is like this. This is the way that Coleridge addresses nature as an organic whole. This is a summary. This is a summary that so far what I have delivered, Saranjani madam. Now, Saranjani madam, am I clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Now we will move chapter number 14 exactly. The two cardinal points. What are the two cardinal points? The first point that I am going to tell you, the truth of nature. First point, first cardinal points. This is exactly adapted by Wordsworth. When you look at the poetry of Wordsworth, Tindanabe, Solitary Reaper, Word on Immortality, is it all other poems, Rainbow, Lucy poems, all these poems talks about what we call as this. What is this? Truth of nature. But something new, creating on the reader's point of view. That's novelty we call it. That novelty we call it. Here I'm going to say the difference of Coleridge and Wordsworth. Wordsworth decorates the colors, but Coleridge modifies the colors of imagination. Hope you understand. This is the first cardinal is a Wordsworth is simply decorating the colors of imagination, but Coleridge is modifying the colors of imagination. See the example of Kubla Khan. See the example of a rhyme of the ancient mariner. Exactly, Coleridge shows the modification of the colors of imagination that how he has brought the lines of a rhyme of the ancient mariner. But when you look at Coleridge, so when you look at Wordsworth, that Wordsworth simply decorating colors of imagination. A simple language for a common people, a common language for a common people. This is the first point, first cardinal point. But actually, Coleridge is dealt with the second cardinal point. The theme of Coleridge dealt with what we call second point. The treatment and the subject matter should be by what we call Coleridge in terms of modifying the colors of imagination. I hope you understand. Here, Coleridge quote few examples. The sudden charm which accidents of light and shade, which moonlight or sunset, diffused over a known and a familiar landscape, appear to represent the proctability comping both. This is a quotation taken from what we call as a Coleridge regarding the type of what we call as a cardinal points. No, theory of nature. Theory of nature. You see, Wordsworth took subjects from ordinary life. Wordsworth chosen. See the Salter Reaper. Salter Reaper's life is an ordinary life. That is a subject. That is a theme of whom Wordsworth. And Wordsworth talks about the village and its surroundings. And its surroundings. This is what the subject and the thematic study of Wordsworth. The incidents and the characters are simple. And the incidents and the characters from village. I hope you understand. This is a way that Wordsworth has produced a poem. To take any poem that Wordsworth says like this, the ordinary life, a common language for a common people. Am I clear?
Yes, clear, sir.
Yes. Yes. Suranjana madam.
Yes, clear, sir. Thank you, sir.
Shall we move next?
Sure, sir.
First cardinal point I explained. The second cardinal point, the incidents and the agents were supernatural. The example is a Kubla Khan. When you look at Kubla Khan and how Coleridge shown the incidents and the agents, they were supernatural. Even you take it this the long ballad,
Excuse me, sir.
Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Yes,
What is mean by plafond?
make little louder.
What is mean by plafond, sir? You said.
I don't know what you are pronouncing. That I am not unable to. I am unable to catch your pronunciation.
Maybe
You
Kubla Khan, Kubla Khan, she is asking, sir.
யாரோ ஒருத்தர் பேசுறாங்க வாய்ஸ் கிளியரா இல்லையா? சிவரஞ்சன் மேடம் இப்ப சொல்லுங்க, அவங்க என்ன சொன்னாங்க கேட்டாங்க சொல்லுங்க.
Maybe
Yes.
she is asking about Kubla Khan, sir.
எஸ் கல்பனா.
என்ன ஒரு டிஃப்ரெண்டா ஒரு வேர்டு கேட்ட மாதிரி இருந்தது சார், அதான் கேட்டேன்.
Now I will tell you. Now I will.
ஓகேங்க சார்.
The incidents and the agents. The first cardinal that I told you, ordinary life. The village and its surroundings. The second cardinal poetry, that is suited for Coleridge. Coleridge shows the incidents and the agents are all supernatural. This is example of a Kubla Khan, a poem Kubla Khan, and another poem, the Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. I'll tell you one example. Albatross, the bird, is the character or the agent in Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. So here I'm giving you substantial evidences that I am belonging to the second type of poetry, second cardinal points of poetry. I'm not going to talk about the first cardinal point as chosen by Wordsworth. Am I clear? The next thing, the excellence aimed at to consist in the interesting of the affections of the dramatic truth. Actually, here what I am going to tell you about what we call that Coleridge has been strongly believing supernatural agencies. This is what I call it, that willing suspension to disbelief. This is a term coined by one. This is a expression statement coined by what we call Coleridge, according to this the two examples what I suggested. Which means Coleridge shows his imaginatory world with the support of natural and supernatural. And the reader may comprehend, the reader may understand with the willing to suspension of disbelief. I hope this may be one more question. No, I explained the two cardinal points. I explained the two cardinal points of poetry. One is from Wordsworth, the other is from Coleridge. Is it? The first is ordinary life, the second is supernatural life. The second is what exactly say the incidents and the agents from supernatural elements. As you see, Shakespeare's
Hello.
Macbeth, the very first scene of Macbeth, that how the three witches. Yes, Hemamani madam.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, there's two cardinal points of poetry are there, no, sir? First one is supported by Wordsworth, sir, William Wordsworth.
Yeah, sure.
Second one is supported by Samuel Taylor Coleridge.
Yes, yes, no doubt.
First one example is the Salted Reaper, sir, and the Rainbow.
Okay. Yes,
Second one is Kubla Khan, the Rime of Ancient Mariner, and the Albatross, right, sir?
yeah, so many poems. Albatross is not a poem; it's a bird that you have seen in Rime of the Ancient Mariner. It's what the largest bird that ever known by anyone, and that is introduced by, as in terms of supernatural, by Coleridge in Rime of the Ancient Mariner.
Okay, sir.
So
sir.
I want to ask that Wordsworth is not the one who is not having a supernatural belief, sir. Only Coleridge is mentioning supernatural elements in his poem, sir.
Wordsworth never touched supernatural elements. Can you give me any example?
He is only appreciating poet. There is a nature. He is a pantheist. I know that, sir. That's why I'm asking whether he is quoted any supernatural elements in his poem. Is there any trace of supernatural element in his poem, sir? Am I audible, sir? Your voice is not hearing.
Yes, yes, I'm on the line. Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Just now, no, I lost my connection, internet connection, so that no, I'm unable to speak continuously. Kamamani madam,
Yes, sir.
may I know your
Hello.
question again? That what Sivaranjani madam raised.
Yeah, the same thing, sir. Like I wanted to know, like the first point is not supported by Coleridge, but the second cardinal point is supported by Coleridge, right, sir?
Very good, very good. Nice understanding.
Okay, sir. Fine, sir. Thank you, sir.
Examples, all the poems written by Wordsworth is the first cardinal point. Here, Sivaranjani
Yes.
madam had a question with me. It's very simple. There will be no poem by Wordsworth talking about incidents and events and the agents are supernatural, referred by Coleridge. When you take
Okay.
the poems of Coleridge, you can exactly find out the supernatural sceneries. Even
Okay.
you take it Shakespeare's Tempest and Shakespeare's Macbeth. You see that how Prospero was shown the magical world. And take the case of Macbeth when three witches appears in front of the Banquo and Macbeth. Am I clear? This is never what we are shown by Wordsworth. I'm very
Okay,
sure.
sir.
If you take it, a poem by Wordsworth, Rainbow, three poems: Ode on Immortality, Tyndon Abbey, Daffodils, Soldier Reaper. So many poems that Wordsworth has written. And when you look into the poem, you may find that Wordsworth belongs to the first cardinal points of poetry. Hemamani madam, am I clear?
Yes, please, sir. And one more thing, I have a doubt, sir. For Coleridge is eating opium and he is in a hallucination stage. That's why he is having this kind of supernatural element in his poems.
No doubt. Of course. That what you said is correct. No, the opium name I told you. No,
Hello.
spelling. Yes. Sir, yes, is correct. Yes. Hemamani madam, yes. German Day sir has sent a message. That is correct.
Nothing, sir. Nothing, sir.
Okay. Shall we move next?
Sure, sir.
Cardinal point, of course. See,
Yes, sir.
supernatural agencies. Which means what we can say, Coleridge with the support of naturally and supernaturally take the reader, and reader may comprehend the meaning of a poem by the combination of natural and supernatural elements. This is what Coleridge says, willing suspension of disbelief. This is the theory, willing suspension of disbelief. Here, look at that. What we say, lyrical ballads. Consist of the poems dealing with the two cardinal points. Lyrical ballads. Definitely, you have question. Is it wherein the endeavor of Coleridge was to deal with a persons and character supernatural. Of course, persons and characters. That what exactly Coleridge talks about this issue, comparison of this first cardinal points and the second cardinal points, persons and the character. This kind of quotation you may have in your examination. Persons and the characters, supernatural. And the Wordsworth was to give the charm of novelty to things every day. Wordsworth talks about what we say, the beauty of every day. That is the first cardinal point. Am I clear? Saranjana madam, am I clear? Wordsworth,
Yes, sir.
Wordsworth has given a charm of novelty of everyday life. That is what we call as the first cardinal points. And the second cardinal point that the mind's attention from the lethargy of custom. Directing into the loveliness and wonders of the world. Wonders. And when I forgot that the beginning line of Kuplakon. The very beginning of the line, Coleridge shows the world of wonder. Of course, Coleridge took opium, no doubt. By and large, that he wrote a poem like this. And defense of Wordsworth poetic creed. The other day, in the very morning, the very first lecture that what I have given on Biographia Literaria, I told poetic diction, poetic theory, poetic creed. Both are what we say synonymous word. Creed. Creed means theory. Definition. Creed means definition. Coleridge, what we say, did not agree with Wordsworth. Coleridge does not agree with Wordsworth and his poetic diction. I hope you know the poetic diction of Wordsworth. Again, I will tell you, poetry is spontaneous, overflow of powerful feelings. This is what a poetic diction, poetic creed of Wordsworth, where he talks about what we call the defense of Wordsworth creed. But in Biographia Literaria, Coleridge defends to the violent assault to the language of real men. The language of the real men is a term given by Wordsworth, adapted by Wordsworth, the lyrical ballads, language of real men. When you read the original text of lyrical ballads, collaboratively published, that the language of real men is shows what we call the first cardinal points. Definitely, you may have the question: language of men, what does it shows? The cardinal point, and you have question. The first cardinal points. It deals with the ordinary human life and the village surroundings. Am I correct? Am I
Yes,
correct?
correct.
Now we will see that next one is what we will say. Wordsworth poem has been silly. I'm not telling. No, Coleridge, it depends. In the morning, Kalpana raised a question at me. Here I'm very clear about the question. Wordsworth's poems are silly, childish things. I'm not telling. Coleridge is telling. Which they were for long time described as being, and they had been really distinguished from a composition of other poets. Already I told you the composition of a poem, the composition of the poets that handled the manners of language, inanity of thought, these things. And where Wordsworth got failure according to whom? Coleridge. I hope you understand what I'm telling. Of course, no, Coleridge gives the credit to Wordsworth. Wordsworth is a genius. No doubt. No doubt. But when you come for the distinction between poetry and prose, where Wordsworth is not genius. But actually, what is the general concept of Coleridge according on whom Wordsworth, full credit to Wordsworth, that Wordsworth is a genius. This is what that Wordsworth has written preface to lyrical ballads. The most of the universities, you have the syllabus like this. Syllabus, preface to lyrical ballads by Coleridge. Now,
So you're saying that Coleridge is appreciating the topic of Wordsworth, though the topic is silly, but through the language and diction, he is making the simple topic into the very best well-known poem. Is it, sir?
nice understanding. Nice understanding. Am I clear?
Yes, yes.
Shall we wind up the class? Any question? You have distinguished between prose and poetry. This is a composition. And here, Coleridge has given one example in the poem, simple poem that he mentioned about talking about the meter and other things. And Coleridge views on imagination and fantasy. This is very, very important regarding chapter number 14. You may have questions. You may expect questions from this particular area. His views on imagination and fantasy. Is it? This is what I'm primary imagination, secondary imagination, and another term that he has given: dissolves, diffuse, dispels in order to create. And these are the things that we have to closely see. Is it? And a comparison of Wordsworth and Coleridge that he has given. That's a conclusion of the 14th chapter. And we come to 17th chapter. That another thing that he talks about the language of Wordsworth and Coleridge. This is a lengthy chapter regarding this Biographia Literaria, chapter number 14 and 17. Any question?
How many chapters does Biographia Literaria totally have, sir?
23 chapters, madam. 23 chapters, 2 volumes. 2 volumes, 23 chapters. That is written between 1815 to 1817. Actually, the date is, the year is given 1817. But he took what we call as the voluminous time to complete the 3 volumes of 23 what we call chapters. And 24, the poems contributed both Coleridge and Wordsworth in lyrical ballads. That's also 23, as M. Mani Madam rightly pointed out. But lastly, in 1800, Coleridge added one more poem. So we have 24. Right now we have 24, but actually 23 poems added at the very beginning, 1798. Am I clear? Am I clear?
Clear, clear,
Clear, sir.
clear, sir.
Shall we stop here?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Thank you.